The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Welcome to Hot Takes with me, hosted by the Murph Man, where life gets real and the mic stays hot. That's right, your favorite is experienced Ted, yeah. That's smart and funny guy. From classroom chalk to comedy clubs, Murph Man breaks it down with brainy thuds. Parenting stress or college mess, he's been through it all, no need to guess. Insights are sharp and data's tight. Rants already and the jokes are light. Hot takes, real talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast queues, laugh a little, learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Honest, funny, maybe loud. Never scared to stand out proud. When life gets real, the mic stays warm. Hosted by the dad with lots of charm. Insights are sharp and data's tight. The lens already and the jokes are light. Hot takes, real talk, keeping it true. From high school halls to podcast queues, laugh a little, learn a lot. Turn it up, this show is hot. Grab your coffee and let's get into it. No filter, no fluff, just real talk. Let's do it. Ready or not, here we go. It's time for Murphland to start the show.
In a world drowning in data and dread, two men rise, not as saviors or scholars, but as the Murph Man and Connor. Witness their journey as they navigate the treacherous waters of, well, whatever they feel like talking about. Prepare for Hot Takes with the Murph Man, where opinions are strong, facts are optional, and personal experiences are the name of the game. They're not experts, but they play them on this show. Their passion isn't a performance, it's who they are. And sometimes that authenticity means a little adult language might slip out. They apologize for that ahead of time, promising to keep it minimal, but their reactions are always genuine. Now grab your coffee, sit back, and enjoy the show. Here are the Murph Man and Connor.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, we had some technical difficulties, but we believe we got them fixed, and we should be good to go. How you doing, Connor?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm glad to hear that. So it was an interesting week of school. I know we talked about it, but we had difficulties. Let's go ahead and do it again. Anything happened this week?
Well, Thursday and Friday there was a job fair at UTEP at the Don Haskins Center. And we just went in to like see what companies were there and to see if there was any internship like opportunities or jobs that I could get later on, either in my 4 years or like sophomore, junior year.
So it was something that you'll need once you graduate type thing, or in those summers so you can do the internships.
Summer.
So do you think it was a waste of your time going to that this year?
A little bit, but I had to go for an assignment. So it was just to see like different careers.
And what companies were there?
The FAA or FFA?
FAA.
FAA.
FFA is the Future Farmers of America.
Okay. Freeport, Border Patrol, Police Department, firefighters, and then it was mostly civil engineering and mechanical engineering, different like computer companies.
So not really the computer science stuff or cybersecurity, what you're studying, more like the mechanical. That's what UTEP's known for.
Yeah,
Good,
there was
right?
like 4 different cybersecurity ones,
Okay.
and then everything else was just more civil and mechanical.
Did you cover salary at all with anyone? Did they talk about what their job's hiring and what they were paying?
No, not really.
You didn't ask? Like if I had my bachelor's today, how much would you pay me?
That one I forgot to ask, but I asked about like what would I do for them with like my expert, like with what I know, what would I be able to do in that job?
Okay.
And then talked about like if they laid people off or
That's a good question if they lay people off. Because if they're laying people off, they probably aren't going to be a good place to go right now.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And if it's like flexibility wise, like for schedules,
Like, can I work from home?
yeah. Or do I have to relocate somewhere else and all that?
Can you picture working from home with me? You'd have to have the desk facing each other.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Oh, sorry about that. Oh yeah. So, yeah, you all know if you've been watching the show, I want to cut ties with Connor. I want him out of the house. I want him to be on his own, be an independent adult. And he knows I'm just being a smart ass right now.
He hates me.
I hate you. He doesn't like me. Should have worn that condom, man.
Okay, ew.
Remember the joke?
Yes, I remember the joke.
We were talking about doing comedy. I was making a joke at the beginning. I came on and I said, "Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you doing?" I'm so used to doing stage stuff. And Connor's like, "How long has it been?" 18 years was when I started. But I haven't done anything really in the last 10, 12 years. After your mom got sick, I just couldn't go out or do anything, you know. But yeah, so back to the job fair. So you did that and you went out and you talked about it and everything, right?
Yep.
Well, I had jury duty.
How was
And
that?
let me tell you, I was doing the voir dire where they ask you questions and they determine whether you're going to be okay to be a juror or not. And the judge was asking questions like, how many of you, when you hear the crime that's a felony, will think you're automatically guilty? And some people, well, they always say, I do, so like that they can get out of a jury, right? But you think about it from the prosecuting standpoint, you want someone that's going to get them guilty, right? So anyway, the judge is talking about everything, and he starts talking about the 3 things that are responsible for, like the grand jury. All they have to do is, was there probable cause to actually bring the charges? Okay, doesn't mean there's proof. Just was there probable cause? If there was, then it gets to trial. Then someone gets indicted in the grand jury. Person gets charged. They get set for trial. Now they're in trial, right? Do we know what the story is?
No.
Okay, we don't. So one thing, and the judge asked me personally. He actually called Mr. Murphy. Do you know what presumption of innocence is? I said, yeah, I understand that. And he goes, okay, I just want to see if you understood. Okay, whatever. And then he kept talking about the fact that you're presumed innocent until found guilty by a jury of your peers. And when you're in trial, you hear the defense and the prosecuting and the defense side of the story, right? Well, he asked me another question. He goes, Mr. Murphy, yes, I'm picking on you. I don't know why. Out of everyone in the damn room, 99 people, this bitch ain't one. I'm the problem. Anyway, he goes out and he asked me this question. He says, if the prosecuting attorney came out the state and said, he's guilty, we rest our case, no evidence is presented, no witnesses are presented, how would you vote? As a vote? Yeah, I guess. And I said, you mean no evidence, no nothing? And I said, yeah, obviously not guilty because they haven't presented anything. We can't just assume he's guilty, right? And the judge is like, exactly, Mr. Murphy, thank you. I was like, all right, whatever, And anyway, so we go to break, and this is so stupid. I'm thirsty, so I go downstairs to get a soda or something. That's where the machine was on the 3rd floor. We were on the 9th floor. I come back and they're handing out checks, sending everybody home. I'm like, what happened? Well, it turns out one of the jurors walked out of the room talking to other jurors going, And by the way, the case we were going to was a child molester, accused an alleged child molester, right? And he's like, "Oh, I just hate child molesters. I think they should be murdered. They should be killed. Shot on sight." That whatever he was telling them, different people. And then while they're outside waiting in the lobby, the defendant comes out with his attorney to go to the restroom. This guy sees them and goes into the restroom with him.
Oh God.
Yeah. So at that point, the attorney, the paralegal, she was a female. She couldn't go in the bathroom, right? But she saw this guy go in. She immediately went and called the bailiff, and they arrested the guy for tampering with the jury. And yeah, it just so what? I don't. So, yeah. So she calls the bailiff. Bailiff comes in. They arrest the guy for tampering with the jury, and they send everybody home because the whole jury's tainted. And I was texting everybody on the break. I'm like, I'm getting picked. This judge, for whatever reason, has identified me. If the lawyers are going to be like, well, obviously this guy can talk, he can speak, he's not nervous in the crowd, whatever. I knew I was going to get picked at that point. I knew I was going to get picked. And sure enough, they sent everybody home. I didn't get picked. Then I took the bus to you, and you gave me a ride home and everything.
Yep.
We went to go eat lunch, right? At Subway. That was a pretty good lunch.
It was.
It was. I haven't had Subway in a long time.
Long time.
And the other thing that happened this week was I was going to be the announcer at Burgess. And I do sports announcing for the high school football games here in town. And they called me yesterday at like 3:50 when I had to be there at like 6 and said, "We're not going to need you this week. We got someone else." And I'm like, "All right, that's cool with me, right? But I'm never going to work with your school again." Right? So yeah, it was an interesting day yesterday all around. One of the things that I did want to talk about, we're going to talk about dual credit today. That's the purpose of the presentation, right? Getting college credit. But one thing that I want to talk about is yesterday when I was meeting you, I asked you, hold on. I asked you, "Where are you?" And you said UTEP. And obviously I knew you were at UTEP because you were at school, right? So I got out and I started walking to go into the campus for UTEP. And
Why? My car's not in the campus.
right, but you also were at the Don Haskins, and you said you were going to be, when you're done there, you're going to go to class. So I thought you were already in classes, right?
I told you my class was at 12:30.
I don't know.
I picked you up at like
11:30, yeah. But I know that. The thing is, it was funny because you're like, "I'm on UTEP." I'm like, "No, you're at the Don Haskins." And I know that's part of UTEP. I get that. That's where they play basketball, right? But it's funny because the way you and I talk right now, we had a situation with the technology, and they were trying to help us, and I was like, "That's not the problem. This is the problem." We're trying to figure it out, and we're trying different things. And thank you to Tracer and to H Train for helping us out with that. I do appreciate you guys coming on and helping us and getting the show on the road here. But my son, while we're getting it set up to come on live, he tells me, he says, "You guys were saying the same thing, just differently." And it makes you think, how do you communicate? So before I get started, I want to talk about this real quick, okay? Not you. I'm talking about a person. Have you ever talked to somebody and you hear the phrase, something like, "I see what you're saying"? What's another thing they would say? "I hear you," right? "I think I know what you're saying," right? Um, "I feel you." You've heard of that, right?
I get what you mean. Yeah.
So when someone talks to you that way, you have to use auditory stuff. So you have to, if you're talking, give them auditory things. If they're saying "I see you," give visual clues. If they say "I feel you," talk more on an emotional level. Those are just little tips that, as a counselor, you learn those, right? And talking to someone is very hard, just to come up and start talking to somebody. Like, you had to go talk to all these people at the job fair, right? The career fair, that's what it's called now. But
Job expo, but yeah.
Job expo,
Something like that, yeah.
I thought it was the Career Expo.
It's
Whatever, right?
either or.
Either or. But it's interesting how we communicate with people. And I don't know if you've seen those TikToks where they have like an older person and a younger person separated by the wall or a door, and they're like, "Here, hang up the phone." And you see it, the older boomers doing this, and then you see little kids doing this, right? Um, how do I say hang up the phone? Do you remember what I showed you?
No.
Fold the phone,
A flip phone. Yeah,
right?
that's funny.
You know, it's just how we were brought up, whatever we did, and you know, I was part of the generation that had no technology. I was there when computers came on, and I was at Kmart when we had to look up prices. I was at Taco Bell when I had to cook my own meat. To now, where everything was prepackaged at Taco Bell. Kmart no longer exists. Right? We got the scanners. So technology is one of those things that's changed, but the communication between older and younger is something that a lot of people don't put a lot of effort into changing. And one thing, and I want you guys to look at Connor's face when I say this, okay, because he's going to hate me. But I told him, I said, I want to go to Chico's Tacos. And Chico's Tacos is a local restaurant here in town. And what they do is they give you the slip of paper with a number on it. And that number is how they call your order. They'll say number 162 or something, right? And I told Connor, let's go eat at Chico's Tacos so we can wait till they call out 6-7 and we can yell 6-7. No, and you hate it when I do that, right? When I throw lingo back at you.
I hate it so much.
Okay, do I use it wrong?
Yeah, no.
Well, most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm pretty good with it.
I guess.
You guess?
I guess.
Okay. Well, I haven't done it in a while, but I remember one time you were in at a dance and you were over there, and I just wrote you a skibbity toilet, and you're like, "Shut up! Just shut up!" Right? And there's so many things that we talk about with that. We haven't done it in forever, but 6-7 is the latest one that I know is annoying. So for you parents out there, when they talk about 6-7, they go like this: 6-7, 6-7. They ask you how, like on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think you are? Like a 6-7. You might have 4-1, right? That's the other one, 4-1, right? I'm just saying, because teachers are out there and they're hearing all these kids say 6-7, 6-7, right? And how would you feel if your teacher was grading a paper and he gives it back to you and goes, "That was mid"?
That's not bad.
That's not bad, right?
That's not bad.
But I mean, how would you feel about a teacher saying that to you?
That's not bad.
No, I know it's not bad, but I'm just talking about the fact that we're using language like that. See, because one of the things that we try to do as educators is understand the younger population.
Yeah, it doesn't work. No,
it doesn't work.
You should stop doing it.
You're gonna do it too one day.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Trust me. We all say that. Everyone does it. We all get to a point where we're sitting there talking, and before you know it, we're trying to understand the youth of today. And one thing that I know you hate also is AI. Right. AI is the future. As much as we hate to admit, it's here. I'm using it a lot for animation and stuff that I'm working on with Military Broadcast Radio, that I'm helping them create some stuff, and I'm looking forward to becoming like a a generic animator and getting some videos done and everything, right? But I was telling him, he has these characters, these little ducks, Beaker, DJ Ducky, and Gamer, and I've been thinking about talking to the younger people and having them talk like teenagers and making a video of that.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, that's my next thing.
No.
I want to have a video of them talking to each other about something using all the Gen Z, Gen Alpha stuff. Yeah. I won't show it to you because I know that annoys you. But
thank you.
You're an adult now and you're getting older, whether you're on admit it or not, And it's going to be interesting because guess what? You're going to be like me one day. You're going to be telling dad jokes. You're going to be stupid like I am. But, as with age comes wisdom. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is the dual credit, and that's why I talk about the wisdom. So as we're getting older and we do things right, we want to be able to pass on our knowledge to others. So how about we light the fuse on today's show?
Sounds good.
Welcome to Hot Takes. Last week we talked about earning high school credits in middle school, and today we are talking about early college and dual enrollment, how to earn college credits in high school. It's time to ignite the fuse.
Yes, that's right. We're going to start today's show. And one of the things we always do to start the show is we have a burning question. So let's get started with what is the burning question for today?
The burning question. Today's question is related to our main topic of earning college credits in high school. Here it is. What is the term for a program that allows high school students to take college-level courses and earn credit for both high school and college at the same time? Is it A. Credit transferability, B. Dual enrollment, or C. Academic acceleration? Go ahead and think about that for a sec. The answer is B. Dual enrollment is a powerful tool that lets students get a head start on college, saving both time and money. But the key is making sure those credits will actually transfer to the college you want to attend.
Dual enrollment, you guys, is when a student is attending high school and they're receiving college credit and high school credit. Sorry, you guys, allergies are really bad here in El Paso. The dual credit is when they're taking high school classes in dual credit. I teach dual credit courses here in El Paso, and I teach students online from high schools all around the city, actually the county. I have as far as Tornillo, which is like 60 miles away. I don't know, it's not that far, but it's pretty far. Fort Hancock is 60 miles away. It's interesting because kids are taking the classes, and you ask yourself, are you ready for what's it called? Oh man. Responsibility of taking these courses. And if you are, great, you're able to do that. If you're not, then what are you going to do? And it's one of those things that you have to ask yourself, are you ready to handle these courses? And when as a teacher, I have to talk to these kids and ask, okay, are you prepared to take the class? Are you ready to do what you need to do so that you can pass? And I give the kids a syllabus. You have a syllabus now in college, right? It tells you exactly what you need to do. It gives you the plan for the semester for that course, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Not kind of. It does. It gives you all the teacher's instructions, all your due dates, any question you have should be on the syllabus. You say no?
Any questions as in to contact them, yeah, but not for due dates or...
You don't have a calendar on there?
No.
Mine does.
Okay, well...
See, my syllabus is badass because it has all the information you could want on it, okay? It has all your due dates, all your policies. If you go to Blackboard, which is the management system we use for teaching, we have the links already provided for you. So if you have problems, like if you call me and go, I can't find my password, I can't help you with that, right? Call tech support. But if you go to the website or my syllabus, it gives you the number or the link.
Yeah. No.
So the syllabus for me covers everything.
Okay.
So it's one of those things that having that plan ahead of time is really good. And that's how we're going to talk about high school and dual credit when we come back from the break.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Another regular day, nobody knows. It's that time he's coming home to them from a foreign land. He pulls up, his mama cries, looks at daddy with tears in his eyes and says, nothing feels better than this. Couple of months go by and no one sees. Something just ain't right, all he wants is peace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free and put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again. He gets help, but he still feels off. Sees an ad on the TV about a dog batting said, this is a man's best friend. Whoa, so he goes one day and he picks it up. Never thought a dog could bring so much love and put a smile on his face. But he's finally found a saving grace. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again. Whoa, whoa. He needs help, but he don't know the path to take or the way to go to be free. Put his mind at ease. We will help, 'cause we can't stand to see a soldier go to God by their own hands. We will do everything we can to make 22-0 again.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
All right, welcome back. Before we get started and dig in, let's get to some of the terms we're going to be talking about right now. So we'll be on the same sheet of music. Let's lay down those coals.
There are a lot of ways you can work toward college credit in high school, you just need to understand the differences. Let's go over some key terms. Advanced placement, or AP courses, are classes that prepare you to take a placement exam. CLEP tests are tests that you can take to test out of college-level classes. Dual credit courses are when you are simultaneously enrolled in college courses that are taken in high school. It is also known as dual enrollment. Credit transferability. This is crucial. It's whether or not a college will accept the credits you earned somewhere else. College readiness. This isn't just about grades. It's the academic and emotional preparedness to handle legitimate college-level work.
That's right. All those terms are so important because you need to understand what they mean. When you're in high school, they give the advanced placement courses, the AP courses, and you took a couple of those, Connor. Were they harder than the regular courses? Or like your AP English and stuff like that?
No, they weren't hard. I mean, there's some differences from regular, but it's not really that different.
Okay. The thing about AP courses is you take the class and then you take a test, and depending on your score, you're able to get college credit for that. So that's one way to get college credit. The other way is a CLEP test, college level entrance placement exam. Let me tell you, when I got out of the Army, I was a counselor in the Army, and I took every possible CLEP that I could. I think I ended up taking like 13 CLEPs regarding psychology and sociology, money management, gerontology, which is like older people. I also took CLEP test for Spanish, and I got 14 credits. A whole semester of credits by one test.
Wow.
You know, the CLEP test anyone can take. I think they cost like $60 to $100. I forgot to check that before I came on today. To be able to talk about the CLEP testing, you can go to the local college. You can ask them, where do you have to go to get the information? Usually it's the testing center. You go there and you talk to them about how to apply for the test, and you go and you take the test. You schedule and you take the test, and then you get the results sent to you. And for every test, you can take 3 credit hours. Now, one thing that I want you to be aware of, this is something that we haven't talked about, but forget about credit courses or all that stuff. When you go to college, you take a class, you get credit hours. You know that. Let's pretend you decide to change colleges, right? Without knowing anything, where do you think is the best time to change colleges?
In the summer? I don't know.
Well, I meant like which year?
Freshman
year? So like if you don't like, you just transfer because you're still taking your basics, you can do all that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want to do it somewhere between your sophomore and junior year at the latest, because colleges only accept approximately 45 credits, which is what you usually will have by the time you get to being a junior and sophomore. I mean, sophomore to a junior. And if they only take 45 credits, that includes any credit you have. So even if you just pretend you were one of those kids like Danica who took all the college courses and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
She could only transfer in so many credits to college. Like I told you, I took CLEP test. I literally had, I think, what's 13 times 3? 49? 49 hours in just the CLEP testing. Forget my college experience that they gave me for my military training. So obviously they didn't take everything, right? But what's funny is since I passed that test, I can go to college now and say, put these on my transcript and pay. It doesn't matter now because they're just going to give me credit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to be very careful with the AP classes and the dual credit courses and the CLEP test and all those, because especially even in just taking basic college courses, if you're going to change colleges, you need to be aware of how many transfer credits will go to that. Now I'm going to tell you something really interesting. Let's pretend you would have got, like Danica, got an associate's at high school, right? And you wanted to go to UT Austin. Are those credits transferable?
I would think so. I don't know.
You would think so. Is that an assumption?
Yes, it's an assumption.
Because one of the things you got to look at is when you're taking courses, right?
Mhm.
You have to make sure it meets your degree plan, because you could take all the courses you want in art, piano, drawing, every course you could ever want, but you only need to have 3 for this class or 10 for this, So don't be wasting your time with AP courses, dual credit courses, and transfer somewhere where they're not going to be accepted. They're going to work as electives, right?
Mhm.
You're going to get credit for them. It's not like they don't count. But you can go to a website called Transferability, and it'll tell you which courses are available to you. So you want to check on that, the transferability of it. All right. And last but not least is, are you college ready? Are you ready for college? That's one of those things that when I ask you, are you ready to go to college? You don't know until you're there. So being that you're a freshman and you're in college, is there anything you did in high school that prepared you for that? Or are you going in completely cold?
Going in completely cold.
Completely cold.
Mm-hmm.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
We've had this conversation. I'm not even going to go into it, but you took advanced courses. You did all that. Okay. You took a tech program for 2 years. That prepares you for college. Now
Not
that you're in
really,
college,
no.
now that you're in college, how are you doing? Are you struggling? Are you doing okay?
I'm doing okay.
What's helping you succeed?
Studying, that's it.
Studying?
You guys,
How good are you at we're studying during high school?
not that good because I didn't study.
Yeah, you didn't have those study habits, right? But now, what are you doing? You go to class in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and you stay there until you do your homework for the rest of the day, right?
I guess
Most of the time.
we're friends and hang
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
But you're doing homework, you're doing your studying
Yes.
for groups, tests, and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I would have asked you somewhere in your senior year, are you ready for college?
No,
No. When did you become ready for college?
I'm not ready
You're
for
not.
college.
Right? That the harsh reality of college hitting you as an adult is like, damn, this is crazy, right?
Mhm.
Think about that. It's interesting because you don't really know what it is until you're there. So now that you're there and you just started, do you have any tips for anybody that is considering going to college?
Just study. That's it. Just pay attention, or else you're gonna fall behind
Mm.
and be overwhelmed. That's it.
And you didn't take any dual credit courses. You took a couple AP courses, right?
Just one.
Well, you had honors AP also.
Okay, that doesn't
Honors
really count.
A and P. It does. It does. That's
Mhm.
advanced.
I guess. So then
Okay.
2. Okay, but
Okay.
it was mostly just one.
All right.
for
Well, but you've
English,
taken them.
I guess.
Do you recommend students take high school dual enrollment classes?
Yeah, to get ahead of the program. Yeah,
To get ahead of
only
the
if
program.
they're willing to take college courses in high school, because it is stressful, but it does help a lot.
It helps in what way?
You're a junior if you go to college when you graduate from early college.
All right. And do you remember my argument about early college? Why I don't like
No.
it? You would right now. Let's pretend you had done the dual credit. You would graduate in 2 years
Hmm.
with your degree.
Yeah,
Do you think you're mature enough in 2 years to do your job?
if I know what I'm doing, maybe I
But emotionally just mature,
no.
right? That's my one drawback I have with dual credit is getting these credits and being college ready. Yeah, you can take the classes and everything, and you can do all the effort and do all that, but are you ready to actually finish college and graduate with a degree and take a full-time job and start your life on your own? In 2 years, that's too much to ask anybody. You know,
Mhm.
one of the things I like is for families that don't have a lot of money, that have low income, or maybe you have a first generation college student that college is never even discussed growing up, right? They get to high school and they take dual credit and they get a couple credits in, just a couple courses here and there. you know. Um, at your school, they said the only way you can take dual credit is if you enroll in the early college, and basically they're making you get the associate's degree, which I disagree with 100%. I think dual credit should be allowed for anyone who wants to take it. Like if you wanted, for example, let's pretend you want to take psychology. You could take dual credit psychology and just take that one class and nothing else, you know. But no, some schools say you have to be in the program, and I don't agree with that. I think you should be allowed to take classes wherever you want. So taking those classes in high school sometimes are the best choice someone has because they may not go to college, you know, and maybe going to those classes and getting a few credits gives you that motivation and that confidence to take other classes and go to college, you know.
Yeah.
Growing up, did I ever talk to you about are you going to go to college or not, or what college you want to go to?
Not that much.
Not really,
no.
right? Because I told you you were doing the cybersecurity stuff, and I said maybe he'll finish it and want to do that and get a job, right? But I never expected you to go to college. Not that you couldn't handle it, but that's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to get your job, work for a couple of years, then go back to college and get your bachelor's degree, you know, that kind of stuff. But never straight out of high school. And it's not because you weren't ready. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I thought, well, I was hoping you would get that in 18 and start working in computers. You know, it didn't happen, but it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you always knew you were going to have to go to college at some point.
Obviously, yeah.
Right? And I always tell people, the reason we go to college is to get a job that has air conditioning and heating. You'll probably make more money doing welding and whatnot, right? But it's one of those things that you got to really think about.
Yep.
You know, and when we talk about different things here, I'm sorry. I can't see. Give me a sec. Sorry. I didn't bring my reading glasses, so I have to like get up close to it. But yeah, so that's your life. But let's hear the story from the fire that we have this week.
Tiana takes an English composition course at her local community college during her senior year. She earns college credit, gains a ton of confidence, and saves money on her future degree. Her friend Max takes a niche course that sounds cool, but it doesn't transfer to his target university. Lesson learned: research is everything.
Listen, learn, research everything. That's what I've been talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're thinking about where you want to go to school, have an idea what you want to do. You know, in a couple episodes, well, I should say a couple weeks, episode 11, we're going to be talking about the career interest game. What I love about that game is it's not really a game, but it's a way to get you to think about your career. Is it matches your personality to a job. You know, so you may not have any idea what you want to do growing up, but you take this test and it comes back with like a list of jobs you can take, and you're like, hey, I never thought of doing that, you know, and I'll talk more about that in another episode, right? But planning ahead, that's been my thing. You know, you don't know what you want to do when you're young. You have no clue what's out there. You know, you're starting to take these courses and you're meeting people that are taking different classes. Have you met anyone that's not taking your program?
All my friends.
All your friends. So have they told you how hard or how easy their classes are?
Yeah. I mean, they talk about like how they struggle sometimes, but it's not hard for them.
It's not.
No.
Well, you got some pretty smart friends. I know that.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't get really like, how can I say it? I don't really get any like bad reviews from it.
Okay.
From their classes.
So they'd say it's about 6, 7.
Okay.
Come on, laugh.
That's not funny. I don't like it. It's not funny.
It's funny. The 6, 7 is not funny to me. It's your reaction that makes me laugh. But yeah, so you know, you're taking the classes, you're meeting people, and you're doing different things. I don't know if you've talked to your friends about how much they plan to go to where they are now. Is that something that they were working on or not? You know what I mean? You don't talk about it. Now you're just in college and that's what you gotta do, right?
Mhm.
How do you think this would have been different had you left town and gone to college and been by yourself? I don't know, maybe one person.
I don't know. Different. Living somewhere else for my 4 years, going to a new school with no friends, going into an area I don't know at all. It's all different,
And do you think you would have been homesick?
obviously. Of course I would.
Okay. So what about living in the dorms here locally? How do you think that would have worked if you would have done that?
I have friends in the dorms.
And have you gone to the dorms?
No.
No. But you have been in the dorms.
No.
Never went with your
No.
cousin?
No.
Oh, really? Okay. So you have no idea what it looks like or anything. Okay. I suggest you do that. And I'd suggest anyone that's listening do it. If you want to stay in the dorm, go visit friends who have a dorm. It's one thing to show you the room on orientation, right? Go look at an actual college dorm room when it's actually being used, and you will see everything that you need to see with that, you know, because the living spaces, how many people are going to be there, sharing rooms, sharing bathrooms, having to do chores. There's all these different things that they have to deal with, you know.
Mhm.
Maybe you can talk to your friends and they'd be willing to come on the show and talk about some of their struggles living in the dorms. Just food for thought. I mean, you can interview them yourself.
If they want to do
Yeah,
an
of course,
interview,
they
which
want to.
I don't think so, but I could see.
You never know, right?
I could see.
You know, but yeah, so having a plan, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? All of that can start in high school, taking those courses, and one of the things that I asked you to do when you were in high school also is to take a variety of courses. Don't just take one type of course. When I was in college, every course I took was related to psychology. Every course. Like psychology was my life. And it's been my life since I was 19 years old. I mean, that's says a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
37 years has been my life in psychology, teaching for 25 and counseling and everything.
Mhm.
As you're doing it and you're going to college and you try different things, you want to take that variety of classes. You want to take those electives that are more fun, that are easier, that are just varied stuff. Because, for example, you took a piano class in high school and you did really good. You did really good. Had you followed up with that and gone on with it, maybe if you're taking a guitar class,
No.
no, I know. I'm saying you might find out that you actually are good at music, but you don't have an
No.
interest in music. I get that. But you took a piano class just because.
I had to.
No, you had to take a fine arts class.
That was the only one I wanted to do. I'm not doing orchestra. I'm not doing band. I'm not doing choir. I'm not doing art. I'm not doing theater. That was the only one.
Instruments were the only ones, right?
Piano.
Piano.
That's it.
But it wasn't the only one you could take. You had a lot of options. You just didn't want to take them.
That's why
Okay.
that's the only one I wanted to do out of all the options. I didn't want to do anything else.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's not a lot of things you want to do. I get all that. But you took it, you did good, and what if, let's just say what if you would have actually taken the class and realized I love this and this is what I want to get a degree in music?
No.
No.
I'm telling you.
I know that's not what, listen, not what you wanted to do. I'm saying what if, it's just what if hypothetically you would have gone and taken one class and it changes your whole career. That's what I'm pointing out. That's what I'm talking about.
What about it?
I mean, never mind. So the thing is, as you take dual credit courses, you get exposed to different classes, you get exposed to different things, and you learn and you find out, earlier in life what you want to do as you grow up. And that's one advantage of taking dual credit courses. Aside from getting college credit, getting it done faster, there's another thing. If you get college credits, it's cheaper to go to college because you don't have to pay for them anymore, right? In high school, it's all paid for. Your books are all paid for by the college, right?
Mm.
Well, they are. I'm saying they are
Oh, well then.
in high school when you're taking dual credit. So You
Well,
can
in high school, yeah.
you can save money taking dual credit courses in high school by doing it in college. In high school, you don't have to do those later in life. You know, and with those examples in mind, you guys, let's get into the nitty gritty of actionable steps. What can you do to get this done? If you're still in high school and you're going to be thinking about taking dual credit, let's talk about some of the things you can do in today's section, the heat map.
Here's the heat map, which gives you some actionable steps you can take immediately. Before you sign up, research which colleges accept the credits you plan to earn. Stick to general education courses like English, history, or basic math. And balance your rigor with your bandwidth. Don't overload your schedule.
All very good ideas here. The biggest one is assuming all credits will transfer. That's one thing you got to be real careful of. Plan ahead with that. You want to make sure you get that taken care of, and make sure that whatever you are taking is not just wasting your time. All right. Also, take general education courses that can be used in any college, right? Any college, and then you'll be able to do things like, for example, I don't know, in your program, do you have to take social studies or humanities or something like that?
U.S. history. That's it.
Right. Okay. But I'm trying to think that in poli-sci, political science. But there's another class you have to take that we said and you had the option of taking all these classes. But I can't remember what you chose. Do you remember?
It was in like June or something. I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. It's been a while. So it's one of those things that you ask yourself, like, do I want to do this class or not, and what's going on with it? And you start working on it, right? But sorry, everything works is take English, take your basic math, that kind of stuff. Also, look at what you think would be accepted in most places. So look up research degree plans, research colleges, what's required for it. But, and there's always that but, somewhere you're going to get burned.
Here are some common mistakes you may find yourself doing. The biggest one is assuming all credits will transfer. You must check with your target colleges first.
Don't take on too many courses too soon. Start with one and see how it feels. And don't treat it like a high school class. You're in a college course with college-level expectations.
That's funny that one of the things that applies for college also applied to you in middle school. When you were taking all those courses in middle school for high school, I was like, hey, don't forget, this counts towards your GPA. But then COVID hit and it just all went out the window. No one cared about the grades back then. No one cared about school. It was just a weird time, right?
It was a weird 2 years, 1.5.
1.5, yeah. And it's funny. I don't know if you understand, you realize this, but when we started going back to school in person, right, for those kids who were struggling, who weren't doing well in asynchronous learning online, they were asked to come back to school. And here in El Paso, we had to go back to school in October of that year. Now, why is that significant? Because El Paso was the world's worst spot for COVID. I don't know if you ever knew that.
Nope.
El Paso was the worst spot for COVID, and they're like, "Oh, let's go back to school." Now COVID's still around, and we're all vaccinated, or the bugs already got into our system, and we've already built up some immunity to it, so you don't see it as often. But people still get it, just like you get the flu. Last year, you got the flu, right?
And COVID.
And well, yeah. So you learned a lesson last year. What was that lesson?
To stay healthy and wash my hands everywhere.
You learned that with the other thing we got.
But yeah,
you said, I'm going to get the flu shot and the COVID shot next year.
Oh.
You remember that? Yeah. So now we're here. It's time to take our shot. How you doing with that? You ready?
No.
You going to take it?
I have to.
You have to. You don't have to. No one's going to break your arm if you don't, but it'll help, right? So, because you learned the lesson last year, because you felt really, really bad.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, like going back to this, check your class where you want to go. You don't want to take too many courses too soon. And that, like the argument I've had, you're not ready to take so many courses and graduate at 20 years old. No one is. What are we looking at?
Continue.
Okay. And don't treat it like high school. This is the real world. You're taking real college courses. It's not just I'm in high school. It doesn't matter. You know, you didn't graduate with a bad GPA, but let me ask you this: knowing what you know now, do you think you would have tried harder in school and try to get better grades to get a higher GPA, or do you think it didn't matter to you because you weren't going to like a top tier colleges?
I agree on both, but I could have tried more.
Oh yeah, you could have. Do you think it would have helped you?
A little bit, yeah, but not as much as I think, like as I thought.
Okay. And here's an interesting thought here. Does GPA matter? Think about that for a second. To get into colleges, obviously that matters, right? But does GPA matter when you get out of college? You're not applying to other colleges, are you?
No.
No. When you graduate, if you're going to go for a master's program, it might matter, right? Because there's competitive programs.
Master's, doctorate, yeah.
And by competitive programs, I mean there's some that only have a few slots. So you want to be one of the top candidates for that. So GPA does matter for those, like becoming a doctor. You can go to Chihuahua in Mexico and study for 4 years, save a lot of money, learn how to be a doctor, and then come here and take the foreign exams and become a doctor here. So does the GPA really matter? Do you know what kind of grades your doctor got? Do you see his report card on the wall when you go and say, "Hey doc"? No, what do you see? Diploma, certification, doctorate, whatever, right? Yeah. Same thing with the lawyers, same thing with your teachers. GPA doesn't matter when you're in college like that. It does matter if you're going to continue and go on further. When I graduated college, overall, I had a 3.67 GPA, I think, all the way through my master's program into my PhD. But I lived my whole life was psychology, so it wasn't that hard. I had trouble at the beginning. Like I waited, let me see, 25, 8 years to go to college, start going to college, right? Taking algebra and all those courses, which with me, anything with numbers I can do, anything with letters, forget it. It's not going to happen. So throw numbers and letters together. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But your GPA doesn't matter so much if you're trying to go from college to a master's program. It does matter because if there's highly like doctors and lawyers, those kind of things. But if you want, like with me, I went to Sol Ross. There was opening. It wasn't so competitive that there wasn't thousands of people applying for 10 positions. You know what I mean? They had room for everybody, so you're going to get in if you have the qualifications for it.
Yeah.
You got to take the GMAT, and there's certain tests you have to take and everything, and you have to pass those. So just food for thought. If you are going to take those kind of classes, make sure you study for them. But in high school, the GPA matters because it does affect you applying to colleges. It really does affect you. If you have a 3.3 or 3.29, that could be the difference between hundreds of colleges. Just that 1/10 of a point. And there was one year when I was working at the runaway shelter, we had some kids that I heard about through, because I worked with the schools and counselors and teachers and stuff. And it was funny because there was kids at Cathedral, and they were trying to figure out who was the valedictorian, who was the salutatorian, first and second place in class, right? And they went through every grade, right? Every class. They had to go all the way down to the 6th grade to figure out when one got a lower grade by like 1 point to make them better than the others. 6th grade. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? But I don't know if you know this or not, but do you know what the high school ranking has to do with college admissions and everything? No. UT Austin, for example, you have to be in the top 5% of your class to get accepted to that automatically. Okay. That's how competitive it is there. Top 5% in the nation. You know, going to raise your GPA. And I work at a school that's virtual, right? So the kids, it's all self-paced, but we work with kids who are like athletes, performers that are already have careers, like child actors. I don't know if I ever told you any of that, right?
Nope.
So like I had one girl last year that I was working with that she was in a dance troupe and she'd travel with the dance troupe around the country. So on her downtime she'd do her homework, you know. At night she's performing, early morning she's doing her homework, they're practicing at lunch, so I have one girl who says, I'm sorry I can't make it that day to the meeting. I'm like, why not? You've known about this meeting forever. And she says, oh, it's because I'm getting my pilot's license that day and I'm gonna go and celebrate. I'm like, yeah, you do you, boo, just go, right? Teenagers getting pilot's license, what more could you ask for? Excuse me. Had another girl who was talking to me just this week and she says, I'm ranked 4th in the class and top 5% is 3. Ooh. And she says, you got to understand, all of these people who are ahead of me are all going to get A's. That's what they do. I'm a person that always gets A's. How can I jump ahead of a person? And I said, I don't know, but I understand math. If you take more classes and you get A's, you'll get a better GPA because every class will give you a few tenths of a point, on your GPA.
Yeah.
I said, look at your average and maybe take some extra classes, and you can do that, because she's going to finish early. I also told her, if you're not already, you can start taking those college dual credit courses and get the college credit, which counts for high school credit. And she goes, ooh, that's not something I've thought of. Let me see what I can do about that. The difference is college starts in September, ends in December, right?
Yeah.
Then they have a mini-mester in October. So she has a chance to actually register at the mini-mester and take a class in 2 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, half the time. And like for the classes you're taking right now, the pre-cal, which you have Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right?
Monday, Wednesday,
Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
No, the class. Monday and Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Tuesday's a class, or is that a lab or seminar?
No, it's a class. Pre-cal is just a class.
Okay.
And Thursday I have it online.
Okay.
But
so,
still part of the class.
Can you picture taking that class in summer in 4 weeks? Or maybe 8 weeks?
Like, you take it every day?
Yeah. Because that's what you would have had to have done.
Well, that's what I'm technically doing.
Well, but you'd have to stay twice as long.
Yeah, no.
No, right? So
that's too much.
It is. For some classes, it's too much work. So look at that also. What classes are you taking? Like for example, when I was graduating from my bachelor's program, one semester I took 21 hours.
Oh, wow.
8 classes, but it was 2 or 3 in the mini-mester, 2 or 3 in the second mini-mester. And then I took a 2-week course that was 8 to 5 because, literally 80 hours of class to get that course, and I got 21 hours. And what was funny was, we talk about scholarships, right? I said, apply for scholarships. Like the scholarship window's opening the end of the month to October. Start applying for scholarships now for the next year. That's something you're going to have to start doing. Okay. But I got a call one day from the college and they're like, Amy, we're looking for you because we have a scholarship here, $1,000. And I said, oh, my college is paid for already with the VA and, the GI Bill and all that. And she says, no one applied for it. And I said, what do you mean no one? She says, nobody applied. Had I applied, I would have won automatically, right? just think about that. One person, all they had to do was fill out a piece of paper, and they would have gotten $1,000. You know, and she says, so what we do is we looked at who had the most classes, and if someone actually went a little further than regular, we'll give you the grant, the scholarship. She says, most of the times we deal with kids who take 15, maybe 18. You took 21 or 24, whatever it was. She says, you need the money. We're going to just give you the $1,000. I said, right on, but I had a 3.75 GPA, graduated summa cum laude,
That's not bad.
No, it's not,
That's really like above average.
Oh yeah.
3.75.
Yeah, I don't do average. I think we already know that, right?
Mhm.
But it's applying for scholarships, it's that season coming up. So make sure you apply for scholarships if you haven't already, and also the college courses you're taking, the classes you're taking, the dual credit, all that stuff, it all applies now because now you're in college. And did you know you can actually take tests in college? Let me see if you've been paying attention to me. What test can you take in college to get college credit?
I forget what it's called.
The CLEP test. You can still take CLEP tests if you want to. You can take CLEP tests throughout your whole college career. Even after you graduate, you can still take a CLEP test. I can go take a CLEP test today if I wanted to. For my teaching certification, I got to go take a test for health. And it's funny because I don't study for it. I just go take the class because I already know it. I'm teaching it. It's like,
yeah.
So you can take CLEP, but also depending on what program you're in, there's this thing called ACT-PEP. I don't know exactly what the acronym stands for, but it's similar to CLEP, but gives you credit as a junior and a senior. So the more advanced classes. I tested out of abnormal psychology, which was all the diagnosing and everything that people are expecting. And as I took this class, and teachers found out, they're like, "Hey, Sean, we can't wait for you to take our abnormal psych class." I'm like, "I'm not taking that class." Or you have to graduate. I said, "I already took it. I passed it on the test." And they were like, "How? Like, how can you? You're not even a doctor, and that's you haven't taken the class. How can you pass a test?" I'm like, "Because I did it in the Army." So right now, like for example, let's pretend you wanted to get ahead, right? You could go look at the list of all the CLEP tests and be like, "Oh, I think I can pass that class." And you take the test. And if you pass it, you get the credit. If not, oh well, you just lose money. No love lost, right? But if you could get one or two classes, that's something to think about. For example, right now you could probably go take the college algebra test and pass it and get the credit, and that would be one of your electives. You don't think about stuff like that, right?
No. Not really. For electives, no.
So it's interesting because there are so many opportunities, you guys. Right? So make sure you don't get burned and don't fall into the trap of, getting I have to go to college and that's all there is. No, you can always test out. There's always advanced courses you can take and everything. So don't get those pitfalls. But let's talk about some of those reflecting questions that you might still have.
That's a wrap on this episode. If you're looking
Here are some questions for reflection. Am I truly ready for the pace and independence of a college class? What are my long-term academic goals, and how does this fit in? How will this realistically fit into my current high school schedule?
That's right. That's what you want to ask yourself. All those questions. You want to ask yourself, are you ready for the pace of college? Are you ready for the long-term goals that you're setting for yourselves? And have you taken the time to realistically do what you have to do in high school to succeed and advance in college? So that's one of those things that we've been talking about already, right? But remember, you don't have to do it alone. You have help out there. There's a lot of things you can do and a lot of resources that we'll get to after we come back from break.
It's time for a break. Hot Takes with the Murph Man will return after these messages.
Everywhere I go, trouble seems to find me. There ain't no place that I fit in. Raised in the backwoods, and just like him, oh, I'm a fighting man. Well, I was born with a gun in my hand, child of this land. Lord, please save me from my sins, out here howling in the wind. Look to the west to see your sunset. Someday kneel at the pew. This old wasteland, it is my land. Around here I do what I wanna do. Well, I was born with a gun in my hand, child of this land. Lord, please save me from my sins, out here howling in the wind. Well, I was born with a gun in my hand, child of this land. Lord, please save me from my sins, out here howling in the wind. Everywhere I go, trouble seems to find me. There ain't no place that I fit in.
Before we jump back in, a quick reminder of where to find us. For all the short clips and highlights, make sure you're following us on social media. You can find all the show details on our website, purehottakes.com. And for full show...
Welcome back. So we're going to talk about some heat shields now. Those things that will give you the resources so that you can get everything done that you need. You know, the guidebook out there, there's College Without the Campus that can help you. College Without the Campus is a book. It's nonfiction, so it's a real book written by Hillary Harshman, and it serves as a guide for individuals who want to get credit by exam testing. You know, to be able to do traditional, and those adults who are returning from college. So it's a book you can read. Another thing is that website called Transferology. You can do that and go look at it, and it'll tell you what classes you can take that might help you with your degree to get you going. And there's one more thing here. Oh, and of course, a simple course planning spreadsheet can help you manage everything. Right?
Yeah.
When we did your spreadsheet, I told you, if you can get these classes, it's all going to work, right? We talked about your schedule and everything. And then, I forgot about pre-cal. Threw the whole thing out the window. But you at least have an idea. You You have an idea of what you need to take when. So you were able to like plan your courses that, correctly. I don't think it really threw you off that much, right? I think we just took one class this semester that you were supposed to take next year or something.
It was rhetoric and composition.
Yeah, we weren't going to take that this year. You were going to take history or something, right? And then into comp and rec.
Yeah.
How's that going, by the way?
Eh,
You got to read a lot, huh?
Yeah, I'll tell you more about it after.
You don't want to share?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so those are the resources you can get, credit by exam, that book, transfer out. There's a lot of things you can do, but probably the best resource is your high school counselor and the college counselor at the college you want to go to, the admissions officer. When I was at my associate's program at community college and I wanted to go for my 4-year degree, I went over there to ask, hey, so what do I need so I can get in? And she looked at my transcript. She says, oh, you can come to class now. You don't have to get an associate's degree. And I was like, really? I thought you had to. And she says, no, you can transfer in 45 credits. So you've already taken everything except for algebra. Again, we go back to math with letters. I can't do that, right? I waited till the last possible minute to take that class. Actually, I was taking my bachelor's classes and I was going to graduate in my senior year. I took the one college algebra class I needed. I waited till the last possible minute to take it. I think I got a B in it. I was happy with that.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's not bad. Especially since I hate math, right? Well, I hate different math. But talking to that counselor and the high school counselors, getting the help that I needed, right? Or that you need is so crucial. Because we talk to the counselors every semester, at least twice. Once at the beginning, once at the end, right? And they knew who you were and everything. So it was one of those things that I think that was one of the best resources we had, was doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree on that.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
Sorry. Going to the counselors, I think it really helped us out a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I got to talk to the counselors more at UTEP so I could just get used to them.
Yeah, you got to get to know them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of those things that getting to know your teachers. I told you this already. There's so many opportunities because, like, let's pretend you know someone, like in the physics department, right? Let's say you know someone that's doing the physics labs or teaching assistants or something, right? And they come to you and they go, hey, would you want to be a teaching assistant for me? Like, yeah, I can do this and, be a student and teach it. That'd be cool, and you get a job that pays $10, $15 an hour, just because you're talking to the teacher. So, always talk to the teachers and everything. Is there anything else you want to bring up, Connor?
About that? Not really. No. I
No?
can't think of anything.
No advice or anything to do with dual credit? Any final thoughts?
I'm not the person to talk about dual credit with at all.
All right. Well, here's our final burn.
The final burn. The final burn from today's discussion is, dual enrollment isn't just about saving time, it's about stepping up.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Hot Takes with the Murph Man. Your listenership truly means a lot to both of us. For the latest hot takes and much, much more, be sure to visit purehottakes.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media platforms as Hot Takes with the Murph Man to stay connected and join the conversation. My take is this show is over. Thanks for listening, and I'll have more for you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.